Let's start this morning, though, with one of the state's biggest trading partners. It's the island of Taiwan. 7,700 miles across the Pacific, but Texas companies, listen to this, they do $7 billion a year in business with them. The Chinese, though, consider Taiwan a breakaway territory, and many are worrying right now a war could be coming. So while we celebrated Thanksgiving, a bipartisan group from Congress boarded a plane and flew to Taiwan. Among them was Congressman Colin Allred, a Dallas Democrat. Congressman Allred, it's good to see you again. You were on that bipartisan trip to Asia last week, and you met with the president of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen. And here's the question, though. Everyone's watching this across the globe. If China does use military force and invades Taiwan, so to speak, should the U.S. respond with military force as well?
Yeah. Well, it was my honor to visit Taiwan and meet with President Tsai. She's incredibly impressive. And I think the people of Taiwan are incredibly impressive. They're a force for good in the world, and they've really handled this pandemic well. And they do a lot of things well, like semiconductor research and production. But our message to China every single day is that this is not the day, and that you do not want to do this. It's not in your interest. It's not in the world's interest. And there will be heavy, heavy consequences if they try and have a forceful reunification with Taiwan. Certainly the folks in Taiwan are able to defend themselves every single time, and really every day the Chinese invade their airspace and the Taiwanese respond. They scramble their F-16s and they will defend themselves. And we are helping them in that regard. But our message to them is every single day, don't try it today.
And as far as what the president should do if something should happen there in the Pacific, what would you support?
Well, I support democracies against autocracies. And that's really what we're seeing right now in the Pacific. Russia and China are both being very aggressive there, and really also around the world. And Taiwan is a thriving democracy where they have, a great press, where they have, public debates. They deal with a lot of disinformation from the Chinese trying to influence their democracy. And to be honest with you, we can learn a lot from what they do there in terms of countering disinformation in their democracy.
Taiwan, of course, produces a lot of the semiconductors, the chips that go into electronics, the chips that go into cars and trucks. Did you get any indication whether it's going to be cranking up production of those?
They are, and they're also investing, I think it was $18 billion in a facility in Arizona. So they're investing here in the United States. They're actually one of our largest trade partners in the world, despite their small size. And they do the very best chips in the world in terms of the really high-end semiconductor chips. And so they're a vital part of the global economy. And it's really driven by their democracy. What we see around the world is that you're talking about innovation. What does that come from? It comes from having freedom, from having the ability to elect your own representatives, from being able to take a risk and make a mistake maybe in a democratic capitalist system. That's what Taiwan has, and that's also what makes them, I think, so much different from China in many ways. And that's why I think in some ways you see China wanting to incorporate them. It's because of that thriving economy and that thriving democracy.